Hello. Um, this is the video where I want to go over how to use statcrunch to do these problems. I should get to the problem. I'm just going to enter incorrect answers to get to the questions for this quiz to have statcrunch on it. So these are on quiz 5 now. These are not correct answers. Okay, so the last two questions on quiz 5 are those two statcrunch questions. And what I wanted to go over was how you make these graphs, how you access certain features in statcrunch, and in particular for this question, how you get averages of a column. So for these questions, you're going to have data up at the top with the link that you see the little hand by that will take you to statcrunch. I'm going to make that bigger. So that's simply how you open the data. Notice that your answers need to be rounded to the 10th, so when you come in and answer, make sure to round. But you'll open this link, you'll see a brief description of the data up above. In this case, these are the results of a survey, most recent deaths. Your question is, what's the average age of the deaths for people whose deaths were preventable? What was the average age of the deaths for people whose deaths were not? So I'll show you how to do that. I'm also going to show you how to make a graph. Normally you would just click the graph button, but I'm going to show you also how to create bins when the software doesn't ask you automatically, would you like to create bins? So we're going to go over those two things today. To get these average values, let me go over to statcrunch. Let me just point out a couple things before I start. I'm having some issue with my computer after I updated Windows, so when I put my mouse in here, it starts scrolling. I'm also, when I do submenus, it does the same thing. So when I go through this, I'm not going to put my mouse in here if I can avoid it. And when I go through menus, I'm going to click the menu and use arrow keys to go through it. So hopefully you don't have that problem too, and just ignore that I'm doing this. But anyway, let's get our averages. Sorry. I want averages for the ages, and I want averages for the preventable deaths or false, not preventable. So I'm going to go for my summaries, numerical summaries. I'm always going to click up here in stats, and I'm for this chapter and the next chapter, that for all the questions in quiz 5, you're pretty much going to come here for numerical summaries. Summary stats. In this case, we want to find averages for the column for age. And then later, another questions in the same homework having to do with that line of linear regression. You're still going to come to this menu, but the other option that you'll be looking for in that case will be here. But for now, I just want averages. So I'm going to click, I want summary stats for the column with numbers in it. That's the ages. I want averages. And I want them grouped by, here's my issue with the menu. I gotta use my arrow keys. I want to group them by whether or not they were preventable deaths or not. All I really need is the average or the mean. I'll get everything, I guess, but if you wanted to just select some things, you can click. If you hold Control, if I hold Shift, I can select everything in the range. Well, I click one thing, hold Shift, click the other. If I click one thing, I need the mean. If I hold Control, I can choose what I want. Right now, all I really need is the mean. But later, you'll see that in the same menu, you can access the range, the median, the min, the max, the first quartile, the third. That, if you want to make a box and whisker plot or those 5-number summaries later for other questions. This is a lot of the stuff that you're going to want to access. It's all right here in that summary stats column menu. You can access all that. But for now, all I really need is the average value for preventable and not preventable. So once I've selected what I want, I just click compute. and it gives me my table. Summary statistics for age, grouped by preventable. If it were, for the non, it's 65.7. For the preventable deaths, it's 33.3. That's all I got to put in. So 65.7. Whoops. That was this one. And for the preventable deaths, it was younger. It was 33.3. That would be it. For now, that's how you get those average values. You just go summary, stats, column, give me the averages. That's all you do. For the next part, for creating the graph, this one I put in here because I wanted to show a particular feature. A lot of times when you make graphs, let's say I wanted graphs for this data here, you can just go bar chart, make the graph by age, and compute if you wanted. But what I want to do here is show you how to create bins when statcrunch doesn't give you the option automatically, which a lot of times it will just ask you if you have a lot of data, do you want statcrunch to make bins for you? But in our case, I wanted to show you how to make them yourself. So what I mean by that is instead of having different ages in the 50 range, like 59, 52, 59 and 52, 55, 57, I want those all to be in the category of between 50 and 60. So I want to create these classes or these bins. The way I would do that in statcrunch, if I want to sort my data, I want to find a sample or save it or load it. To do stuff with your data, you click data up here. And I want to create bins, which is what statcrunch calls classes. You just click the bins. You're going to organize, I gotta use my arrow keys. You're going to organize them by, you're going to create bins based on their ages. And you're going to start at 0, like the question said, and their width is going to be 10 years. So 0 to 10, 10 to 20. Click compute, and what that does is, notice it makes all those ages into age ranges. So instead of 86 and 89 in that list on the left, you'll see that both 80 to 90. So that way when I graph them, they'll be by bin rather than the specific value. I'm going to close these. That hides them up there. To get rid of them, you can click delete. I'm just going to close them. And now I want to make my graph. Let's go back to the question. Create the bins by age, and create a stacked bar graph. That means the bars are on top of each other, showing the number of deaths sorted by preventability. Make the bins go from 0 to 10, 10 to 20. We did that. So we just got to make the graph now. Stacked bar graph, sorted by preventability. So I made my bins. If you didn't do that, it might give you the option to do that automatically. But to make a graph with that, just go up to graph, bar chart with data, and we want to do this by age, but I'm going to do it by the classified age, by them grouped into those age ranges. So I'm going to show by age range, and I have to group by preventability. And we don't want them, the bars for preventable and not preventable side by side. We want them stacked. And I think that's it. Yeah. Hit compute. There's your graph. As you can see, hopefully, it's kind of small. I got my 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. These are my bins down here for ages. And these are the number of deaths for those morgues in the survey. And because it's stacked, you can see the blue is the regular, not preventable deaths. and then to the accidental deaths, you can see are sort of piled on top, so you can see what they contributed sort of on top of the others. So that stacked graphs are kind of nice for that. So that's how you make the graph for that. The way you could turn that in is you can save the file and send it to me, or you can copy it and paste it into a Word document or an email and send it that way. These would be your main two options, I think, to extract this graphic from statcrunch and then put it into an assignment or email and send it to me or print it out. So that's how you make graphs. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. That's how you do the first question. In the next video, I will show you how to do the next question.